President Joe Biden gave a speech the other day after the airing of the movie Till, which is an emotional cinematic film about the true story of Mamie Till Mobley's relentless pursuit of justice for her 14-year-old son, Emmett, who in 1955 was brutally lynched while visiting his cousins in Mississippi. But part of what Biden said in his speech should be launching articles of impeachment. I have never heard in my lifetime a president speak the way Joe Biden speaks about the American people. Let's get into it.
It's one of the great honors of my career, the Emmett Till Antilynching Act, making lynching a federal hate crime. You know, folks, lynching is pure terror, enforcing the lie that not everyone belongs in America and not everyone is created equal.
What he doesn't tell you right there is that it was the Democrats who pushed that and who believed that, not the Republicans or all of America.
Pure terror to systematically undermine hard-fought civil rights.
Hard-fought civil rights that he had nothing to do with, but over the years has tried to claim he was a part of.
Innocent men, women, children, hung by a noose from trees, bodies burned, drowned, castrated. Their crimes, trying to vote, trying to go to school, trying to own a business, trying to preach the gospel, false accusations of murder, arson, robbery, lynched for simply being black.
Now, so far, even though he's leaving a lot out, obviously, he doesn't want to indict his own party, and himself, as a matter of fact. But what he says next, he should be impeached for. Just give it a listen.
Nothing more. With white crowds, white families gathered to celebrate the spectacle, taking pictures of the bodies and mailing them as postcards. Hard to believe, but that's what was done. And some people still want to do that.
Some people still want to do that. That's what he said. Folks, these were acts of terror, and they were carried out by Democrats under the authority of Democrat sheriffs, Democrat police chiefs, Democrat mayors, Democrat governors, and other officials. He never mentioned any of that. Democrats seem to want to blame America for the crimes of what they did against black people in America during the times of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, and even today. Several of Biden's closest friends in the Senate supported some of America's most heinous acts against black people. It's past time to start talking about it. It's been 2 years since this racist jerk in the White House told the American people, particularly white people, that they are systemically racist. He claims the entire country is systemically racist, yet he never specifies which race he has a systemic problem with. If it's systemic, it means everywhere and everything and everybody, right? But see, with Joe Biden, we have a history of him being racist. Some of Biden's closest friends in the Senate, people that he latched onto when he got elected, were some of the worst people among us. Robert KKK Byrd, who was a Grand Kleagle for the Klan, recruiting as many people as he could. Yeah, the Democrats elected him not once but twice as majority leader of the Senate. They called him the conscience of the Senate. James Eastland, another despicable segregationist, and Al Gore Sr. That's right, Al Gore's father served in the U.S. Senate. He was a bigot and a segregationist, and he voted against the '64 Civil Rights Act. The apple didn't fall far from the tree because Al Gore, when he ran for president against George W. Bush, he went out there on the debate stage and said that his father lost his seat in Congress because of his stance for civil rights. It was a blatant lie that not a single member of the fake news media back then questioned at all. I mean, think about it. William J. Fulbright, another segregationist, was who Bill Clinton called his mentor. He was a segregationist. Okay. Furthermore, as governor of Arkansas, I believe he was governor at the time, or he could have been attorney general. He went out of his way to start fundraising to erect a memorial to Fulbright. The statue was finally erected in 2002. When Biden first entered the Senate and he was put up by a uber left-wing Marxist group, that's who sponsored him to get into the Senate. He doesn't like to talk about that, but he was taken under the wing of James Eastland, whom he considered a close friend. I mean, they wrote letters back and forth to each other. James Eastland was one of the worst segregationists in the Senate. Biden was an outspoken opponent to school integration. Seriously, he stated at one point that he didn't want his children to, grow up in a racial jungle. Can you think of any Republicans who are opposed to integration in schools? You can't do it. Can you tell us which Republicans actually stood in the doorways of schools to not let black kids in? Can you? And yet today, the same Democrat Party that did stand in the doorways to block black kids from going into schools are still in the doorways now, keeping black kids from being able to leave failing schools. Republicans are for school choice. Which Republicans used fire hoses and sicked dogs on black protesters wearing badges? None. You know, everybody says that the greatest trick the devil ever did was convincing people that he wasn't real. I believe the Democrats carried out an even bigger trick. They were responsible for all of the harm done to black people during slavery, Reconstruction, the Jim Crow era, segregation, and even today. And yet they have convinced millions upon millions of Americans that it wasn't them. It was those evil Republicans, or America in general. It was that Southern strategy that did it. Out of the over 100 Dixiecrats, all right, there were only, I think, two. It was Senator Strom Thurmond and a guy in the House named Wilson, I believe it was. They were the only two who were full-blooded Dixiecrats that swapped parties. The rest of them, they died as Democrats. In fact, the reason why the South became more Republican is because the South became less racist. So which Republicans were the ones that spearheaded a push to lynch black people? Can you name them? Several Republicans who backed black people during the civil rights and Jim Crow eras were lynched alongside them. Which Republicans were in favor of Jim Crow? There were none. I'm just so tired of the lies that are told about the past history of the Democrat Party. So it always bewilders me when a Democrat, especially an old warhorse like Joe Biden, who came through the ranks as a racist, who sidled up to segregationists and flat-out racists, and a former Kleagle of the KKK. How does he get away with talking this way? Why do we allow them to rewrite history? I don't know. But if the press isn't going to call him out on it, somebody should. I mean, the lies have to stop. Democrats have made the lie that it's either the Republicans who treated black people poorly all those years, or it was all of America. No, it was the Democratic Party that did it. It wasn't America that did it. It was the Democratic Party. And it's about time the truth started coming out. Okay, so that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you in the next one.